whole notion that communism is a utopia. It's not a utopia. And like I stated in the video before, it is a movement that proceeds to abolish the present days of things. And how you can abolish the present days of things is by being in the present. Not just because when you read theory, you have to take a moment and stop and do proper analyzation. You have to read and now take a good analysis of your environment and now proceed to have an open dialogue, a conversation of, hey, what are the things that in this book that if we imply some of these ideas, how is it going to affect us? How is it going to contribute and help us with the problem that we are facing? Because there are going to be ideas that are just simply going to be outdated, because we always need to consider that this wasn't the ideas or the solution that came about in their time, in their era, the time when they were alive and the problem that they were facing. But we know when it comes to said problems, they also evolve, they also change. And so thus your solution needs to adapt and evolve with it. I want to use a good example of China. China itself approached Marxists beautifully because they didn't just take it note to note, because they understood that, hey, we can't just abolish money or go on a moneyless society when the whole world is literally operating on that type of, it's functioning like that. So for us to proceed to do that, that would be extinction. So they just clearly take that idea and throw it out the window, and they try to customize it, they try to make it their own. That is why when they speak about communism or socialism, they specifically always refer it with Chinese characteristics, to show that they are not trying to copy note for note, and that they're trying to make it their own, because that is how you're supposed to approach it. It is to customize it to your own environment, to the current material conditions that you are facing.
As a Marxist philosophy professor, the biggest misunderstanding that I hear when people talk about communism or about Marxism is when they say that for Marx, communism was a classless, stateless, moneyless society. They provide a positive form of determination for Marx's understanding of communism. But the reality is the following. The only time that Marx and Engels ever said communism was in the German ideology, where they said that communism is the real movement of history that abolishes the present state of things. So communism is almost like what Hegel would have called the Weltgeist, the world spirit, the spirit which moves humanity forward towards more complex, advanced, and higher forms of life. When Marx is speaking about communism in the sense of the negation of capitalism, he's speaking about it very abstractly. He's just basically looking at the components that class society has and saying, look, in a communist society where you have the direct appropriation of producers, you wouldn't have this, you wouldn't have that. But it isn't a prescriptive picture. Marx and Engels never, because they're not utopians, sit down and say, this is precisely what communism is going to be. They're critics of capitalism, but they see communism more as a movement, a world movement, than some sort of specific society that it is their task to outline and ours to live up to. That operates under a purity fetish, as I've called it in my work, understanding of communism, which reduces it to a simple ideal that we have to meet, and if we don't, we condemn reality itself. And that is as anti-Marxist as you could possibly get. Marxism is fundamentally an outlook that's rooted in what we call dialectical materialism, which means that we understand that everything is pervaded by contradictions, in constant motion, and interconnected to everything else. So the primacy of analysis is in what is actually going on in society, how are things actually changing, and not what does this communist ideal look like, and how do we make sure that reality lives up to it.